Hello and welcome to Agent Upgrade. I'm Pablo Galvez and this is Simone Russo. And together, we've seen success in selling real estate. Now, we're passionate about sharing how we did it with as many people as possible. Subscribe today and welcome to the community. Okay, so Simone, one of the other things that we always felt was really important was having the numbers and the contacts that you're going to be making, having that prepared the day before. We always say your next day starts the night before.
Right.
So having yourself prepared, because remember the first couple times when we started doing this, you spent the entire 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out who to call and never actually called anyone. I'm sure other people can relate to this.
Right. And so finding the proper numbers it takes a little bit of practice. And again, that's another system or a structure you're going to have to build for yourself to find your numbers. For me, I focused on calling builders, so new inner city home builders in our market. I focused on past clients and center of influence. I focused on for sale by owners, just listed, just sold calls. And then I have an other category. So anybody else that maybe it could be, other leads or the streets in my neighborhood. So I'd call those leads. So what I would do is I worked with my assistant, but when I didn't have an assistant, I would make sure that in my database, I had a database of builders that I could just instantly go to. Of course, our database always has our past clients and our sphere of influence, which we continuously add to and create. And then the for sale by owners, you can get a service that will provide you with the numbers of all the for sale by owners in your market. And then same thing with the just listed, just solds. Mojo is the program I happen to use, and I can do a map area of certain streets. And then I can call and do my just listed, just sold calls. Yeah,
I was just going to say that a lot of realtors talk to me and they say, well, I don't know who to call. There's nobody to call. I don't know what to do. And I say, really, there's endless numbers to call.
Right.
I said, first of all, the old way to do it was you'd pick up the phone book, the white pages, and you'd scroll through to A and you would just pick up Anderson and you would call them and say, hi, my name's Pablo Galvez, and I'm wondering if you want to sell your home. No, thanks. Great. Get to the next A, call them and ask them. And what you'd do is you'd go through as many people as you could every day. And maybe you start tracking those numbers and tracking how many people you're talking to every day. But whether it's picking up the phone and randomly calling people, or nowadays with services like Mojo, and again, we're not plugging Mojo here, but services like Mojo that we use, you could do a neighborhood search. So if I wanted to select a certain neighborhood and I wanted to get phone numbers for that neighborhood, I can still get those, predominantly landlines, but still you're calling and you're contacting people. And that's really what it's
about. And the
about.
bottom line for prospecting in general is just having conversations with decision-making adults. And that's the key, right? That's really what all this is about, is having conversations and looking for sellers that want to sell their home, look for buyers that want to buy homes.
In my opinion, it's the only way to get ahead in real estate. It's the only way to get further and increase your business is by talking to more people. If you're not talking to people, you're not selling real estate. I can tell you that right now. Yeah. So sourcing your numbers the day before was really important. The next thing I have written down here is it was important. Now you've got your numbers, you've got your space, you're all set up. You've got your affirmations done, and then you have a pre-prospecting routine. And this was something that was coached to us. Tell us about what you had for your pre-prospecting routine.
Sure. And the pre-prospecting routine, again, remember I talked about getting into that state. So you want to get yourself into a state of happiness, productivity, being connected with the people, being present with the people that you're on the phone with. So my pre-prospecting routine would basically be, you have to have a positive and excited attitude.
And this is like a checklist.
It's a checklist. So I'd come in, I'd have my sheet, my checklist, and I would basically create my positive, happy attitude. I check off that I'm committed to reaching my goals. So each day I would have a goal that I would set of how many contacts or how many people I'd actually talk to for the day. And in my case, most often it would be around 20 contacts in the day. And I have to be committed to achieving that goal. Then I also have a check mark here for that I'm going to have outbound calls only during my prospecting.
How important is that? How many people in the middle of their prospecting, they get a call from a seller saying, I just, I noticed the sign fell down and I need that sign put up, please. Just wanted to let you know. Sure, no problem. And the next thing you do is you get on the computer and
you're on the computer, you're sidetracked.
You're sidetracked and then you never get back.
Right.
So having outbound calls only as a rule, what does that mean? Yeah. Turn off your cell phone, turn off the ringer, turn off the notifications.
And I know some agents that have actually gotten 2 cell phones. Mm-hmm. One would be their personal cell phone. And then the second cell phone would be the phone that they would dial from and dial out. So outbound calls only. Their personal cell phone would be passed off to an assistant or left in another room, and the voicemail can pick up everything while you're prospecting.
Yeah, and I can tell you honestly, this is something we used to do. So we used to have a landline. Simone's cell phone would go to her assistant, and her assistant was informed never to let this interrupt Simone.
Right.
Her prospecting.
The next one on my checklist is keep your personal calls to emergencies only. You need to tell your people in your life, such as our kids, our parents, any vendors, that we don't take calls between the time of 8:30 and 10:30 or 8:30 and 11:30, depending what you're up to.
My coach always had a rule, which was there is nothing that can't wait until noon. There is nothing that can't wait until noon every day.
Right. There's been times where our kids are having an emergency at school. They need to get picked up. Well, nowadays, I mean, they can jump in an Uber. There's lots of options. So we set up all of the, what's going to happen in the case of an emergency. Again, and I use the word emergency, but what happens and what are they going to do instead of calling us, because they know we're at work. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's put it this way. If we were a doctor or if we were a lawyer and we were in court, for example, we wouldn't be able to leave the courtroom to go and pick up our kids, mm-hmm. or leave the courtroom because you have a dentist appointment.
The other great example is, say you're driving through the mountains, and we've all done this. You're driving through the mountains and you have 0 cell phone coverage for 2 hours. Nobody can get a hold of you. And there's somebody that's, my sign is down, or there's something's going on, or your daughter needs a pickup at school, et cetera, but you're not reachable. Life goes on.
Life goes on.
It always goes on. And so just because you're not reachable for 2 or 3 hours in the morning every day, life's going to go on.
Right. And then the last thing on my checklist here is work on helping myself and others achieve their goals. And this rings true for me now more than ever, is that the more I pour into other people and the more I help other agents or people around me, the more it comes back to me. So really, it's all about setting some goals and helping and making sure you're on track, but also assisting others to keep themselves on track. Every day before I started my prospecting, I would then move on from my affirmations. I would move on to actually the action part of things. So the action included, as I said, standing at your desk. So you're going to be standing tall. You're going to be smiling every time you're on the phone. So when you don't smile, the sound of your voice changes. So you want to be smiling while you're talking.
One of the hints for that is to have a mirror in front of your prospecting area. So while you're prospecting, have a mirror so you can see your face. If you're not smiling, it'll come across.
Yeah, so have a mirror in front of you so you can see yourself smiling. Always use a downward tone on all of your sentence. So you don't want to say to someone, have a nice day. You want to say, have a nice day. Because there's more authority, there's more confidence in a downward tone or a downward swing in your voice. Know your scripts, be excited, and keep in mind that communication is about 55% is body language, 38% is tonality, and only 7% is actually the words that you say. So if you focus on your body language and your tonality, you are going to win the race. Be present, be powerful, be confident, and be excited. And always when you're on the phones with potential clients, you want to close for the appointment, close for the appointment, close for the appointment, close for the appointment. So you need to be relentless and really go after it, because most people will say, they'll give you an automatic no when there's a yes that possibly still could be available. So that's the pre-prospecting routine. Awesome.
Now you might think, okay, Simone, she's really got her stuff put together. She's strong, she's confident, she knows what to say. And, I'll tell you, going back to the beginning, It's not always like that.
No.
This is a learned process. So what you see on the wall behind us is all the scripts. Every single day, Simone mentioned that earlier, she learns those scripts. She practices them. She internalizes them. She memorizes them. When you know the scripts and you know what to say, it gives you that confidence on the phones. And then you do all the pre-prospecting routine and you get yourself set up physically and mentally. And now you're in the right frame of mind and you're confident and you're ready to crush it and kill it. And you get on the phone, you've got that energy and confidence.
Summary, you know what to say. You've prepared yourself. You have the numbers. All you have to do then is step into it and take action.
If you want to increase your business, there's really only two ways in prospecting. Number one, you increase the number of people you talk to. This is shooting fish in a barrel. If you talk to 300 people a day and say, hey, do you just want to sell your house? Yes or no? You'll probably end up selling some homes. That can get very time consuming. Or number two is you start to practice and rehearse what you're going to say and become better at speaking. So when you become better at speaking, you're going to increase your percentage and your ratio so you can talk to less people. So if you don't like to talking to people on the phone, become a master on the phone. You probably only have to talk to 5 or 6 people a day, right?
Yeah.
So the next thing I've got on my list here after that is your very first call. And I wanted to say this, is that a lot of people have this analysis paralysis. And I'm not sure if you can relate to that, but you get in and you're thinking about it and you're like, oh, I got to do this first, or I got to practice the scripts first. I got to memorize this before I start prospecting. I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm going to do this. You know, Simone yesterday was talking about ready, fire, aim, right? Don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis. Make your first call. Just get to it, make the first call. And you know what? If you bumble through it, that's okay. Make the second call. And my coach always told me it's okay to practice while you're on the phone with people because they don't know that you're practicing. So get on the phone and practice talking to people right away. I promise you, you're going to get better if you keep on doing this.
And I would agree with you, Pablo, that the mindset I always have whenever I'm on the phones is that this is practice. I'm just practicing. I'm practicing. And so you remove all that pressure that you put on yourself that this has to be perfect. It will never be perfect. You just got to jump in and go for it.
Right.